I think that the most important relationship we'll ever have to build in our life is the relationship that we have with ourselves. And in this video, I want to touch on about 3 to 4 points. Number one being what you allow to determine how you see yourself. Number two being showing up as that person. Number three being choosing who you become. And then number four, understanding why you are the person that you are. And so starting with number one, many of you have allowed other people to determine how you see yourself. You're constantly looking to other people's opinions, other people's actions towards you, what other people think of you, to reflect on, oh, that must be who I am. That must be what I'm capable of. Because they said that's who I am, then I should believe that about myself. And I want to challenge you to separate yourself as a person, not only from the opinions of others, but also from your results, also from your emotions, also from your thoughts. Because so many of us, we get caught up in life and thinking that, hey, since this happened, this must mean this. It's like we automatically assume that just because this effect happened, we're the cause. There's something wrong with us. This defines who we are as a person. And you have to realize that you are a separate person from your thoughts, your ego, your emotions. Like, that doesn't determine who you are. It's no different from how we automatically assume what the future is going to be, or we automatically assume how certain things are going to turn out. It's like we have to realize in our mind, it might be true, but that's not always the reality. And so sometimes you got to learn to separate, this is my thoughts, this is my feelings, this is my emotions, this is my perspective or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily define it as me and what I'm capable of and what I can and can't do in this world. You know, we get so caught up in, oh, I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like I don't deserve this. I feel like they don't love me. I feel like this. I feel like that. And we believe it to be true, and then it changes the perspective that we have about ourselves. Then we start saying, oh, I'm not deserving of this. I'm not capable of this. I can't do that. When in reality, half the time, that stuff's not even true. And I think a big question you have to ask yourself when you're even trying to get a better relationship with yourself is, who are you to yourself? Again, we look so externally instead of asking ourselves internally, who am I to me? Not looking for other people to answer those questions, not giving other people that power, but recognizing that that's something within yourself. That's something you got to answer for yourself. And that's why it's so hard for people to tell you what you're really capable of, because nobody knows you better than you. It's like nobody's with us 24/7 with ourselves except for ourselves. And so how can we expect other people who are just getting a glimpse of us, who are just seeing an hour of us out of the day, who are just seeing 30 minutes, who are just having one conversation? How can we rely on them to tell us who we are? Tell us what we're capable of achieving in life. Tell us where we're headed and what's best for us. It's just not realistic. People are only getting a sample portion of you and essentially defining who you are as a person. But that's not realistic because they don't have a big enough sample size. They might get an hour of you when there's 23 hours that they haven't seen. And so you have to realize that you are who you choose to be. Like, you get to build yourself into the person that you become. And so only you are capable of saying, oh, I can do this, I can't do that. But then again, you have to be careful of what you're even allowing to determine that viewpoint of yourself. You know, I believe I can't do something. Why do you believe you can't do it? Is it because you failed once? Is it because somebody else failed at it and you're automatically assuming, oh, because they couldn't do it, I can't do it? Is it because, oh, you felt some type of emotion or some type of fear come up, and just because it was uncomfortable or you felt this discomfort or it was painful, you're automatically like, oh yeah, I can't do that. That's not for me. Y'all do that all the time with relationships and stuff. Oh, it didn't go well. Oh, I'm not capable of being in a relationship. Relationships aren't for me. All because one thing didn't work out. All because one person had, hurt you. Not even realizing that you made it through the pain. You still here. Even though you might be going through the pain, you still alive. Like, you're not, your life isn't falling apart. You know, you're not disabled or any, like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, stop automatically assuming that these things aren't for you and they're not capable of doing different things just because of the result you got, just because of the emotion you feel, just because of some type of discomfort that you felt in your body. Just because it feels uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean it's not best for you. Because sometimes things that are just new, sometimes things that, you know, we just aren't familiar with are the best thing for us in the direction that we should be headed in, but it's something new. So you can expect to be anxious. You can expect to not be the most confident. You can expect to have a couple fears, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're not moving in the right direction. And so The real thing is that you got to stop running from discomfort and stop identifying yourself with it. And so when I say, who are you to you? I'm saying you get to build yourself into the person that you become, meaning that you have to spend a lot more time with yourself and honestly understand who you are as a person, understanding what brings you peace, understanding what calls your name in this world, what makes you feel like you have a purpose, what excites you to wake up. I get excited to make videos like this. I get excited to, have merch and stuff like that and inspire people and stuff, have conversations because it truly fulfills me. It's what brings me happiness. It's what, I enjoy doing. Like I enjoy sitting in front of this camera and truly changing people's lives. I enjoy looking at comments and people asking me questions and being able to help people out. Like it's something I enjoy. And so I understand who I am as a person because I also built myself into this person. I also become self-aware of myself and what my heart goes towards. Because many times we try to follow other people's purpose and down other people's directions, and we lose our own uniqueness because we're going down a path that we was never even meant to be going down. And so you wondering why you don't feel called to go to school. You don't feel called to care about social media. You don't feel called to do content creation, start a business, become a lawyer or whatever. Like whatever the world tries to push onto you. I feel like we get down this path of trying to just follow everybody else. Everybody talks about you need to make this amount of money, so I'm gonna just go down this path just because this path makes me a lot of money. But you never even question, like, is this something I even care about? Is this something I value? Is this something that makes me happy? Is this something I enjoy waking up doing every single day? Many of you are living your life through the lens of others and how it's seen by other people. It's like you're walking through life saying, dang, do I look different from everybody else? Is this going to get me judged? Is this going to get me perceived in this type of way? Not even question, like, what do I think of it? Does this feel like it's for me? Does this feel like it's something I want to do? Is this something that I believe is even best for me? I don't even think sometimes we take the time to even question our actions and whether they align with the person we're really trying to become. But many of you probably don't even know who you're trying to become because you're just focused on falling in line with the rest of the world and trying to keep up, essentially. It's like you're really just trying to, one person shifts this way or a majority of people shift this way. You're just trying to make sure you shift that way as well. And that you're not seen on the other side over here when everybody shifts. And so you don't even question why you're making certain decisions, why you're going in the direction that you're going. You probably don't even know where you're going. You're just kind of falling in line. It could be falling in line with whatever your parents say. It could be falling in line with whatever your friends do. It's like you don't even take the time to question, like, dang, do I even want to do that? Do I even feel like hanging out? Do I even feel like doing this thing? Do I even feel like going to this place? Do I even feel like valuing this? It's like you got to take the time to really question, like, who am I and what do I actually care about in life? Who am I to myself? Not who other people want me to be, not who other people tell me I need to be, not who people say is the best person that you should become or is the person that you should be. Because there's a lot of societal expectations that they will try and place onto you and you're like, dang, I just got to fall in line. I must just need to value that. Hence, for example, everybody think, I need to have this amount of options and stuff like that with relationships and stuff. Well, in reality, like, if you don't care to have a bunch of options, if you don't care to talk to a bunch of people, like, I don't care to have a bunch of options. I don't care to have hoes. Like, I'm cool by myself. And so if that doesn't fulfill you, if that's not something you care for, then stop just following that wave. Stop thinking you need a relationship. Stop thinking you need to become an entrepreneur. Stop thinking that you got to go to school in order to live a good life or whatever it might be for yourself. But the point is that you got to separate who you are as a person from your results. You got to separate who you are as a person from other people's opinions. Because even when you develop a relationship with yourself, people are still going to have an opinion that contradicts who you are, that contradicts how you see yourself. But that's the whole point of knowing who you are, so that even when people contradict you, it doesn't make you question it. Because when you aren't certain, when you aren't confident in the person you built yourself into, when you aren't, again, like knowing, like you're like, yeah, this is me. Yeah, I know this about myself. I see these things within me. When you aren't sure on those things, other people's opinions have that power to make you question yourself and what you're truly capable of. I always say this, like, if I listened to the opinion of other people when I started all of this, I probably wouldn't have started. I probably wouldn't have kept going. I probably would have started for a little bit, saw the opinions and be like, yeah, nah, it's not for me. But it was the gift I saw within myself. It was who I saw myself capable of becoming. It was who I saw myself, being in my future and being able to impact people's lives in a specific way. But, I had to see that within me. I didn't ask other people about whether they saw it in me, because they wouldn't be able to see it in me, because they weren't with me 24/7 like I was with myself. Only I could see my thoughts. Only I could see my perspectives. Only I could know the work I was putting in behind doors, whether I was reading books, whether I was healing myself, whether I was working on the person I was building myself into. People didn't see all of that, and so they couldn't tell me what I was and wasn't capable of doing in this world. Nor could my failures tell me that, because I might have failed at first. I might have not knew what I was doing, but it was a matter of, dang, I still believe in myself. I still know this is within me. I still know this is something that's special that made me continue going. And that's how you got to approach life. Hey, just because I feel this way, just because I don't feel like this is going to work out, just because I don't feel like people are going to be inspired by this sometimes, just because I don't feel like, or just because I failed in this certain aspect, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the truth. Just because I have self-doubt at times doesn't mean that it's something that's true about me. Just because I question myself at times because other people rejected me doesn't mean it's something that's true about me. And so you got to stop again. Separate yourself from your thoughts, your results, your feelings, your emotions, all of that. You got to realize that it's two separate people. And you knowing yourself is the only one that truly matters. And that moves me into my next point of showing up as that person regardless. And so many people, many of us, even including myself in my past, we suppressed our real version of ourselves. We knew who we were. We knew what we wanted. We knew when we wanted to say yes. We knew when we wanted to say no. We knew when we wanted to go after certain things. But regardless, we still allowed, again, that discomfort, that fear of other people's opinions, that fear of being perceived, that fear of failure, whatever. We allowed that to stop us from stepping into the places or taking the risks that we felt within us was the best thing that we should have been doing. And so you got to realize that you're always going to struggle with self-trust. You're always going to struggle with confidence. You're always going to struggle in life to just feel good and secure about who you are when you allow the external world to stop you from being yourself. Other people are always going to have an opinion about you. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to necessarily agree with the person that you are. And some people are going to tell you that you need to change. And the fact is that you get confident in who you are. You get comfortable in your own skin when you stop allowing external factors to change the person that you show up as. Because eventually people just accept you for who you are. You got to realize people are always going to, when people see you change, that's when they question you the most. But after they see that they can't change you, then they leave you alone. Because then it's like, well, I'm not going to waste my energy anymore trying to change them, but I can just determine if that's somebody I want to deal with. And so, yeah, you're going to end up losing people. Some people are going to end up staying. But you got to realize that your differences, your uniqueness is going to make other people uncomfortable, especially when you do like a complete 360 with your life. Some people stop smoking, some people stop drinking, and their friends are like, what the heck is wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you going to church now all of a sudden? Why are you going to a relationship with God and stuff? But when you understand it, and I'm gonna get to this, like understand your why, when you understand like the person you're trying to build yourself into, you're like, dang, I'm gonna keep being this person. I'm not allowing your opinion, whether you agree with it, whether you think I should be doing something else, I'm not allowing you to make me change into somebody else. And that also has to be the approach for how you see yourself. Because I know for myself, sometimes I used to like wait for the permission of other people in order to see myself in a certain way. Many of you do this thing where, you're trying to prove yourself. You're trying to get people to say they're proud of you. You're trying to get people to accept you, believe in you in order to believe in yourself. You're trying to get the acceptance or the approval of other people in order to feel like you're enough. I consider myself a leader. I've never approached y'all and be like, oh, do you guys see me as a leader? I know I'm a leader. But if I waited for like a leader role position or somebody else to say I'm a leader, then I wouldn't see myself as a leader. But knowing what's within me, I could say I'm a leader. And so the same thing goes for, other people's acceptance, other people seeing you as enough. You could either choose to see yourself as enough already, or you could go out here waiting for other people, waiting for certain things to turn out in a certain way in order for yourself to see yourself as enough. And so that's the point. Like, you got to know yourself for who you are, and you got to know, like, I'm good as I am. I got these things within me. I know who I am as a person, and I don't need to wait for other people or show up as a different version of myself in order to prove these things or deem these things as true about, because that's really the only way you're going to become confident. That's the only way you're going to learn to trust yourself, is by doubling down and showing up as a person that you want to be, showing up as a person that you believe is best for you to be in this moment. That doesn't mean that it's always going to be right, but at least you'll have the confidence, at least you'll have the clarity, at least you'll have the self-trust to know that you're living life on your own terms instead of waiting for the terms of other people in order to believe something to be true about you. But that's going to lead me into my third point of just knowing your why. Like, why am I even living the life that I live? Because many of you get so caught up in comparison. You get so caught up in, again, other people's opinions. You get so caught up in what the world says you should be doing, what the world says is valuable, who the world tells you you need to be doing, where the world tells you, you need to be going. Like, there's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of social media influence. It gets you in and I'm saying this like from experience and myself, even sometimes today, it puts you in a place where you really get so caught up in comparison that you lose track of the person that you even are, because you're getting so caught up in other people's lives and other people's results and, the type of person other people are, that it's like, almost feels like you're constantly changing. It's like one day you know who you are and the next day you don't, solely because you got so caught up in somebody else's story, somebody else's life, somebody else's success. And you lost track of your own life and why you're even living that life. I've had to realize more recently, like, just my relationship with God. Like, I understand why I'm with God. I understand why I live my life in the way I do. And then I might look at somebody else and they might have a certain amount of money. They might have a certain status. They might have something else going on in their life. And it's like, dang, I low-key should like follow them, or maybe I should change this about me. Maybe I should start doing this. Maybe I should start doing that. But then I got to bring myself back to me like, nah, Will, I'm living my life this way because of these specific things. I make time for my relationship with God. I value my sleep. I value my friends. I value my family. Like, it's like, we not all gonna have the same values. But when you understand like why you're living your life the way that you do, it's not gonna make you get off path and go down the path of your why being because they did it. Like, when you understand your why is something that you created, it's something that you built, then you won't allow yourself to go down a path where it's like, why am I living this life? Because they were living this life and I'm trying to follow after them. I'm trying to hope that the way they live their life will automatically get me to where they are. But again, that's why it's so important to understand why you live the life that you do, because there's going to be a lot of opinions. People are going to constantly tell you that you need to be changing. People are going to constantly influence you to feel like you need to, start going down a different path or moving in life a certain way. But when you understand your why, you allow yourself to stay aligned with the person that you know why you're being that person. You know why you're making those decisions. You know why you're living your life in the way that you do. Because everybody not going to understand. Everybody not going to understand the vision you have for yourself. Everybody's not going to understand why you value the things in which you value, why you make time for the things in which you make time for. It's not going to make sense to everybody. But all that matters is that it makes sense to you, and that has to be enough. You seeing that vision has to be enough. You having that understanding of why you're doing it has to be enough for you to keep living that life, regardless of what everybody else thinks about it. Because quite literally, everything in this world, this camera, this journal, like all of these things once upon a time were a crazy idea. It came from people being willing to be unique. If you watch Tony Da Vinci, something like that on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about. He's been making videos on it recently.
If I could just not a painting, but like real, like, and then just take that and fucking.
You know how crazy it might have sounded to like say, dang, what if we had a phone? What if we had something that could just capture a picture of like this? Like, you know how crazy it would have sounded like before it was an actual thing. And so that's what you gotta realize. Like, sometimes you seeing a vision, sometimes you going down a different path. Like, it takes you being crazy in the moment until people see the result of it. It's like that's how you separate yourself from everybody else. That's how you build something that's unique. That's how you build something that's never been built before. Like, you got to be willing to step outside and be different from everybody else. And the fourth point I want to make is make sure you're actually choosing who you become. Many of you, again, are looking to the external world to tell you the life that you should be living. And you never take the time to actually question, does this align with my personality? Does this align with, what brings me happiness? Is this something I truly even care about? Is this something I value? Or am I just doing it just to do it? Am I doing it because people are telling me to do it? Am I doing it because it just seems like the right thing? When you really develop a relationship with yourself where you can question yourself, it's like you'll keep yourself from wasting your time. Like, if you don't feel like going to a party, then don't go to a party, because that doesn't align with, what you want to do. That doesn't align with the person you're trying to become, whatever it might be. But choose who you become. Because I think when you get so caught up in trying to live your life for other people, trying to, live a life that isn't your own, you almost miss out on your own potential. You almost miss out on seeing the person that you're capable of becoming and what you're capable of building and what it even looks like to be your best self. Because you'll never be your best self trying to be somebody that you were never meant to be. Like, imagine trying to go down a path where you're just following everybody else. You'll always have to wait for the people ahead of you to know the person that you can become. But when you're going down your own path, you're creating the path. You're walking the path. You're creating the person that you become along the way. And so a best version of yourself may look completely different from everybody else, but that difference doesn't necessarily mean it's bad or wrong or something. It just means like you have your own uniqueness. You hold your own value. You bring something to this world that only you could create, only you could bring to life. But when you're following everybody else, then you're not bringing anything unique. You're just bringing what's common. You're bringing what everybody else is capable of bringing. You don't separate yourself in the world. It's so important to develop an independent relationship with yourself where you can actually think for yourself, where you can actually make decisions for yourself. I pride myself in living a life that I want to live, taking risks that I want to take. I have mentors, I have parents, I have people I get advice from. But in the end, I know the decision is on me. And the only way I'm going to build a certain level of a relationship with myself, the only way I'm going to truly step into being my best self is to at some point, make decisions on my own. I can't always be seeking other people's advice. I can't always be seeking other people's approval. At some point, my vision, at some point, my idea has to be enough for me to just move forward and take certain risks, take certain actions, make certain decisions. And that's the same way you got to move through life. Choose the person that you become. Choose to become the person that brings you peace, that brings you happiness. That's the type of person you want to be in your relationships, whatever. Because when you choose who you become and you're living a life for you, you attract people who accept you for you, rather than you choosing to be like everybody else, that you're just attracting people who, one, only like you for the character that you're playing, but also are probably like everybody else and the people that they have around them. But when you choose your own lane, you get people who uniquely help you become a better you, who uniquely fit into your life and mold you into a better person. And so that's why it's so important that you choose the person that you become. But I appreciate and love you guys as always. Be sure to sign up for my Letting Go to Grow community that's dropping very, very soon. And yeah, turn on post notifications, like, comment, subscribe, and catch you guys in the next video. Peace.